I went back and read The Snowball by Alex Schroeder this week because I wanted a refresher, right? When you read about Buffett, there is only one conclusion. Only one. The dude is insane. Insane.
This podcast contains the arguably witty banter of two friends, Skippy and Doogles, that like to debate about investing. The content is intended to be entertaining and for informational purposes only, not investment advice. You should do your own research and consult a financial professional before using any of the information in this podcast, and especially before investing.
You are here with Skippy and Doogles talking investing. Today, mostly a Buffett show. Before we get started, rate and review the podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Skippy Doogles. Instagram at Skippy Doogles. Do it. Listener mail, skippydoogles@gmail.com. Do that, kid. All right. I don't know if we're going to debate or not debate, but the reason we're having this conversation today is because 1 week hence, 1 week ago, Warren J. Buffett, I actually have no idea what his middle name is, Warren P. Buffett said, it's time for me to step down, player. It's time for me to step down. Now, if you go to episode 4 of this here podcast, people go listen to this episode. It's one of our highest listened to episodes ever. It is called Buffett and Brady Walk into a Bar. And the reason why it was called that is because at the time, Tom Brady stepped down from being quarterback. Mm-hmm. And we said, you gotta drop when you're at the top, player. Who also stepped down at that time, remember? Remember who also stepped down?
No.
Jeff Bezos stepped down at that time too, at the top. And we said some people know how to step down at the top. Now, Warren Buffett, if y'all can't see, maybe you can, maybe you can't. If y'all can't see, we got Buffett right here, right behind me. A book about Buffett. Why? Because he is the G to the O to the A to the T players. G to the O to the A to the T players. GOAT. Best investor of all time. I'm going to say it in the episode right now because there ain't no point in talking about it.
Whew. There's a lot to talk about there.
Okay.
I would strongly disagree with that too. I can't find the words. I think I was flabbergasted this week with people unquestionably claiming he's the GOAT. And we're going to get into that in a little bit.
I don't want to gabberflast you, but he is the GOAT. I mean, I'm talking like what sounds the GOAT makes? I don't know what sound a GOAT makes.
Me either. Let's talk about his track record. His track record is amazing.
Do it.
So the most common stat going around just talks about the Berkshire performance. Obviously, Buffett is brilliant, and where he's the GOAT is just, I don't know that anyone on earth ever has better understood a diverse set of businesses and how they make money and how they are successful than he is. We're going to talk a lot about his childhood in this episode. I mean, from 9 years old on, the dude is flinging some business, whether he's selling gum at school or around the neighborhood or digging golf balls out of the lake and reprocess. Like, this dude loves running businesses. He has his entire life. He's incredible at it. Absolutely incredible at it.
So what's your beef?
Well, hold on. So the Berkshire performance, just since 1965, has returned 5.5 million %, 20% a year compound since 1965. This is it.
Hold on, just to be clear. If your portfolio returns $5.5 million, more power to you. You can retire nicely if you make good decisions. Mm-hmm. 5.5. That's all I got to say. GOAT.
And to put that into comparison, the S&P 500 during the same period has returned 39,000%. This is orders of magnitude different. You can look at, I mean, The Economist did a fun breakdown. I like where they looked at 5-year performance periods, and every year but one, Berkshire outperformed the S&P. And from like the period ending in 1969 to the period ended, every 5-year period but two. The period ending 1994, so there's like a 25-year run where his outperformance of the S&P is so great over 5-year periods. Like, In the period ending in 1979, his performance is almost 700%, and the S&P's was like 100. I mean, just absolutely obliterated the S&P for a 25-year period. And then when he got so large that it was hard to do that with the same numbers, he still outperformed, made perfect bets. Cash management record is pretty much exceptional. Dude is incredible.
Agreed. That's why I'm talking about the GOAT. Here's what I'm curious about. So we've talked about this on the show before, how Buffett will give the advice of investing in a low-cost index fund for your average investor. That's the advice he gives. At what point did that shift? Because he ran a firm, an investment firm, that he had to go raise funds. Like, he had to go tell people the best place to have your money is with me. He had to go tell people that. At what point did it shift where he could say, actually, like, I'm good. You don't need to come. Like, my performance will speak for itself. Like, when was that? Was that the late 80s? Like, at what point? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it's earlier. It's like late 50s, in my opinion.
Wait, late 50s he said that? When he was 20? He's like 25?
Let's talk through some of this. Okay. I'm just going to get into it, but there's a lot to talk about. So I went back and read The Snowball by Alex Schroeder this week because I wanted a refresher, right? When you read about Buffett, there's only one conclusion. Only one. The dude is insane. Insane. So insane. So your casual follower of investors might not know some of this stuff. He's so insane that one time his wife, a door-to-door salesman, stopped by when they were living in Westchester, New York. And she had 2 kids under 2 or something. She signed up for an annual subscription to Parenting Magazine for $17. Buffett got home from work and was so incensed by the thought of spending $17. He went around, he knocked on other people's doors in the apartment complex, built basically a class action lawsuit, and was ready to bring these people to their knees over $17. Okay?
You want to talk about Buffett being insane around wives, and that's the story you bring up?
No, we're getting there. Well, I don't even know that. I don't even know that we'll get there. But I cannot read about his early childhood and not compare him to someone like Michael Jordan. Not compare him in a way to someone like Mark Zuckerberg. This dude at the age 16 had saved the equivalent of what I think is like $80,000 today as a 16-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Doing paper routes, buying pinball machines, selling used golf balls. Every decision he's ever made has been about maximizing money, to the point that now he's worth $130 billion, and he doesn't even want to spend it all. Like, he's just going to give it to charitable causes. His entire life is based on this inner scorecard of saying, I'm going to be worth the most money. Not even to have fun with it, just to be worth the most money.
I think I'm about to bring race into this for a second.
Oh, whoa. I didn't sign up for that.
No, I know you didn't.
Go ahead.
I think Buffett at some point, because he always talks about how he won the ovarian lottery. Mm-hmm. He was born in the right country at the right time with the right skin tone.
Well, I mean, Dad's a congressman. There's plenty going on.
I think he basically was like, what are all the advantages that white people have? And I'm going to take advantage of all of them. I'm going to do everything that white people can do. I think that is what he did. You said, like, you have the whole homestead situation where white people could buy property. He bought his house in the 1950s and never bought another house. I mean, well, sorry. He never lived in a primary residence.
Yeah, he has 5 houses. But
yeah.
You're also forgetting, I mean, this is a dude growing up in Omaha that bought a farm at the age of 14. He actually owned a farm. He didn't live there. He had someone else work the property, and he split the profits. Like that, the ability to live in a place where a wealthy 14-year-old could even buy property is a whole other advantage.
I got to give a little bit about the wives on the same thing.
I mean, go for it. But this is not ending anytime soon. I have 20 minutes of material on how insane this guy is. And we got to do the compare and contrast to Jordan. We got to compare and contrast to other people that are incredibly talented but have issues.
The reason I'm bringing it up right now is because this is something a black man can't do. You can't have multiple wives and still have people that are admiring you that show up to a play. You can't do it. Like you would be completely ostracized. Warren Buffett currently, if people do not know, is married to his former maid.
Yeah. Yep.
Her name is Astrid. She was a waitress at one point. Wonderful woman, I'm sure. How that happened was Susan, his former wife, who passed away about 20 years ago, they used to go to the diner. Warren Buffett would give her googly eyes, and then she started coming over. And Susan was like, it seems like, you know what I'm saying? It seems like y'all doing all right. So I'm a pimp out. You pimp here. It's all going to be pimp.
Whoa. I mean, I don't claim to know the details, and I'm not sure that you do either. I understand you're laying some breadcrumbs there. I think they're fair.
Can you imagine someone else doing that? Like, you tell me.
I cannot. No, I absolutely cannot. This is all part of my point. That in addition to that, I think some of the beef and anxiety between Susan and Warren has always been, and I'm going to walk you through year by year wealth, but it's always been wait, we're worth how many billions of dollars, and we can't take a vacation?
You don't seem to understand. The problem was there was no beef happening between Susan and Warren. The beef was happening between Susan. Okay.
Stop it. Okay.
All right, go on.
So let's just walk through some of these. So one, let's do the Jordan comparison, right?
Okay.
Lots of people say Jordan is the GOAT, best basketball player of all time. I think that's an easy argument to make. My point when anyone looks at a character like Jordan is, can we just not be so narrowly focused on one thing and only one thing? Can we talk about his gambling problem? Can we talk about the fact that he's so competitive that he does not enjoy a single aspect of life? Can we talk about his retirement speech being basically saying how he could walk on the basketball court and destroy anyone right now, and he happily would? I mean, the dude has this competitive drive, which is truly incredible. That's probably not healthy for him. That probably doesn't make for a great life. That probably, if your average person is saying, man, I wish I could trade it all and live Jordan's life, that's probably not a good trade. Mark Zuckerberg, who I actually think might be one of the more balanced people, but I don't know. I mean, Mark Zuckerberg had an offer for $1 million for businesses at 16 and 17. But when he's one of the wealthiest people in the world. Hold on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Repeat what you just said, because I think I heard you right. What did you just call Mark Zuckerberg?
I think he might be relatively well balanced for how insane he is.
That's not what you said. I think you said he's one of the most balanced people.
No, wait, I didn't mean it like that. I meant for the 100 billionaire who is so gifted, so talented. There's parallels to Buffett here. Buffett is so brilliant when it comes to investing and understanding businesses. Probably best ever there, right? But Zuckerberg, it would almost be insane if he didn't buy the $70 million compound in Hawaii and occasionally go for a surf. To my knowledge, Buffett doesn't even do that. Buffett's typical life in 2003 was wake up early, study businesses, grab some McDonald's, hopefully have a business exec fly in that he could show around the Omaha office, come home, play bridge on the computer for hours on end, and yell at his second wife to get him a Coke. This is not a well-adjusted individual.
To be fair, he met her as a waitress.
That's a great point. Absolutely great point. Does this make sense? Am I crazy? I just think this is so much more complex than people reading the Wall Street Journal think it is.
No, it's not.
He's not a well-adjusted individual at all.
Who that is on the list of GOATs ever has been a well-adjusted individual? Name one.
Okay, that's my larger point. That is 100% my larger point. So at age 26, let me walk through his rough wealth by age.
All right.
So
okay, and I'm not going to interrupt you. I'm going to let you do it.
No,
do it.
Bring it.
Okay.
I think this is a fascinating debate, and I really think it's important that people look behind the curtain here, because you can say greatest something of all time. I think he's the greatest heavily obsessed business individual who got wealth with limited luck. And incredible genes because if he would have died at 55, barely anyone would know his name. We're going to talk about that too.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Go on.
His wealth, and adjust like in the 50s, he's in his 20s, right? So adjust at age 20, he's worth $100,000. By age 30, he's worth $1 million. The snowball very clearly details his move back to Omaha from New York City at age 26, where he has enough money to retire. Like the dude never has to work again. Yep. And clearly the dude's passion in life is valuing businesses and investing. That's great. I'm not telling him not to do that. But when his wife's going like, could we spend a few more bucks on the kids? And he's like, no, absolutely not.
Do you not know the price of Coca-Cola?
I mean, why? So at age 94, you might only be worth $60 million instead of $60 billion instead of $160 billion. Like this wealth is nonsensical, and it was nonsensical in about his mid-20s. Like it never mattered, yet it still was painful to spend.
Because the scoreboard.
So age 40, he's worth about $250 million. Age 50, he's worth about $1 billion. It goes on down the line. I mean, age 60 is worth $8 billion, and now he might be worth $160 billion. So I want to illustrate this point.
And he's given away so many billions. He's given away a lot of money. Yeah.
So let's say me and you have successful investing careers, and I mean, we all know I'm a better investor than you. Everyone knows that. But let's say at age 55, we both have $10 million, right?
Yep.
Okay. And let's say, for argument's sake, because this seems to be true historically, I think you're even above 15%, but let's say we're able to compound our money at about 15% per year.
Yep.
That means we roughly double our funds every 5 years. Okay?
Roughly. Yep.
So, Doogles, I like extreme sports, and I go on a helicopter skiing trip or something, and I die at age 55. I'm trying to make it a fun example rather than just like I have a heart attack. But, I die at age 55. You with your incredible genes over there.
That's right.
You
Wranglers.
And a person who likes investing, you continue to compound your money at 15% a year until the age of 90, right? So I die at 55. You keep going until 90. I'm happy to walk you through the math, but effectively, my pile of funds ends at $10 million, and my family goes and spends that money. That's great. Your pile continues to grow to $1.3 billion.
Yep.
And what happens if you're a person that likes to give CNBC interviews and have books written about you and writes articles in Forbes and the Wall Street Journal, like Buffett does, which for better or worse, that's great. I think he is an incredible teacher and clearly enjoys the attention. Because you know why no one else has 30,000 people show up and listen to them talk? Because no one else even wants the opportunity for that. Right? So clearly enjoys it. Great teacher. Yeah. I'm not trying to be a hater here. Okay. I respect this guy so much. But the person that lives till age 90 is the person that has this opportunity. Is the person that's worth $1 billion, not a person that's worth $10 million. And all that happened is the lifespan there.
Gosh,
that's all that happened.
This is the whole thing. We talked about this again, going back to episode 4.
It's important to talk about.
It is. My thing and why I think that Brady is also in the GOAT conversation.
Yeah.
Is because of longevity. It's not because if you take an individual and saying this is where the Michael Jordan comparison I think goes away. Mm-hmm. If you take an individual and say, if you had to choose one person to do this activity one time and you had to bet on somebody, who would you choose? Yeah. Some people would say whoever you would choose is the GOAT. And like in the quarterback example, you might choose Peyton Manning. Mm-hmm. You might choose Marino, right? Like there are other people you might choose. If you had a game is on the line, you have to hit a precise target, you're getting chased in the pocket, like who do you choose? It might not be Brady, but you can do that activity over 20 plus years. Like you can do the same thing that you did when you were 20, when you're 40. Like that's what to me puts him more in the GOAT conversation. With Buffett, it's not you take the percent return. It's the fact that, as we always talk about, in investing, it's an emotional roller coaster. And you're 93, and you can still be like, we should probably sell some Apple because blah, 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 blah. Like, that's impressive. The 50-year-old could do that. I go, like, yeah, I know 50-year-olds that could have that conversation and have that emotional fortitude. But how many 90-year-olds can also do that? And so the fact that he's done it over decades and decades and decades is, to me, what says he's GOAT status. He's put up with so many recessions. He's had so many opportunities to sell when he shouldn't sell. He's had so many opportunities to buy when he shouldn't buy. And he's made mistakes, as we all do. But that's the whole thing.
No, I completely agree. I'm just saying that what that means for you is a key factor of your GOAT criteria is simply, in Brady's case, how long they stay healthy, or in Buffett's case, how long they live.
No. See, bring it back to, no. Just living is too passive. There's constant decisions or non-decisions that have to be made.
The dude is the Michael Jordan of investing. The dude could be operating at 15% of his mental capacity and be a better investor than me. Like, he is incredible. His entire life, from probably age 6 on, has been tuned to be incredible. As long as he's alive, man, I am not worried about him finding a way to make a buck. Not worried at all. This is my point. When you have retirement level wealth at age 26, when you're buying farms at age 14, like, money was never even a challenge. It comes so easy for him that, okay, so my pushback would be, like, if someone said, who's the GOAT, I would ask 7 follow-up questions, which I'm sure is unfair.
Yeah,
but I'd say Jim Simons, 66% a year. Just so happened that he didn't care. After he got his $100 million, he said, that's enough money for me. I'm bored. Like, he had no desire to be worth $100 billion. There are a bunch of other names like that who either rode off into the sunset or died.
Here's a difference, a big difference. Jim Simons was a mathematician that decided to deploy his craft, which is math, into investing. He wasn't an investor.
I mean, so is Ed Thorpe. I think Ed Thorpe is
there you go. But that's
an
a
incredible
difference.
Investor.
That's a difference. What Buffett was from the get was an investor. And he honed the craft of investing. These other folks, they loved other things. So they would create, like, you can use that at the casino. Ed Thorpe, right? You can use this math in other places, but math is what they were great at.
I mean, there's other great investors whose primary goal has not been to be one of the 10 richest people in the world, so much so that they sacrificed their family life in their 30s and 40s because of it.
Maybe. But so on here, we had William Green, who has studied the greats. I can't name a person that he would talk about that wasn't a little...
Off the top of my head, I'm struggling. But there are people like Nick Sleep and Zakaria that
look at the track record now. Look at the track record now.
They rode off into the sunset. They said, I made plenty of money and I'm not interested in this anymore. There are a lot of people that had some sort of number and they went 5x over that and they said, I don't need to deal with this anymore. My thing is just, they should not be punished for that. Just because they're a little more well-adjusted, just because they're not Michael Jordan out there gambling on the golf game.
You're not punished. You're just not the greatest.
Okay.
If someone throws a good ball in high school and you're like, that's actually the best football player of all time, but they go, I'm going to stop playing.
This is so great. The quarterback that could have been better than Brady, but decided that he actually liked tax law more.
Yeah, and you're saying they shouldn't be punished because they went into accounting. I'm like, they're not punished. They're just not the best. Like, you didn't try to be the best.
I understand why, especially the week after his retirement, everyone writes an article that says it's the best.
No, not everyone.
Hold on. I'm now like the PTI guys. I'm like the old grumpy guys that say, did you see Jim Brown run? Like Walter Payton. That's all I'm trying to say. Is like there is so much more to this. It's not nearly as simple. And I'm so happy that Buffett didn't have a heart attack at age 55 But if he would have, right now, no one would say this guy's the best.
Of course.
And that's why I eat McDonald's every day, Douglas. I mean, of course.
There you go. Man, nobody says the 5-year-old that if they didn't decide not to invest, like that was probably the best investor. Did you see them talk? No, that's not the way this works. Here's the other thing that's happening this week is there were numerous accounts that I saw of people talking about how Buffett made his money by exploiting the everyday American.
Oh, what was that garbage? Could you skim through some of those articles? But I'm not sure that it ever resonated with me what they're trying to say.
First of all, it's stupid. Like, I'm just going to say that. What people are saying, I'm going to say what they were saying, and then I want to tear it down, just so people can understand the argument.
Sure.
What they're saying is that if you look at the way that Buffett has made his money, it's through capitalism. And capitalism, even if you have the best form of capitalism, which maybe you could say Buffett does, capital is going to capitalize. And his businesses have done things like decide to make profits. His businesses have decided not to raise wages at times where maybe they could have raised wages. Like this is what they're saying. And so therefore, like you can't say that Buffett is great because Buffett destroyed the middle class.
What?
That's the argument. And to me, there's two analogies I'll make. One came up recently. I'm driving along the road. I sent you a picture of this. I'm driving along the road, and ahead of me is a Tesla. On the back of the Tesla, there were 2 bumper stickers that had the word Elon on them, and it was in crosshairs, like it was crossed out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but you're still driving the Tesla. Like, you can't just say, yeah, Elon suck, yo. You say Elon. No, you're driving the Tesla. Like, it doesn't stop that. There's another guy. When I lived in San Francisco, there was a guy who nearly every day, I think, because whenever I cross this certain cross streets intersection, he would be standing there talking about how terrible homosexuality was. And I'm like, move to any other city. Like, if you hate homosexuality, move to any other city. Like, why are you in San Francisco? When people sit in the United States of America and condemn capitalism to like that extent, I'm like, just go somewhere else. Like, I don't understand why you decide to sit in the heart of something, the core of something.
I'm glad you connected that point because I was really struggling there for a second. I mean, the only tangent I'd have there, I'm worried we're going to get completely off topic, but like, I think fondly of, I don't know, the 80s, maybe even aughts, where you could like buy a car and it wasn't a political decision. Like you didn't know the politics of Ford Motor Company, right? Those were fun times, Douglas. You bought a car like based on the value and the needs.
Or at the very least, it was a fringe conversation. Like Henry Ford, a classic anti-Semite.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But it would come up and it'd be like, they go, oh, he didn't like Jewish people, but that was 100 years ago. And you go, okay, well, I'm still going to drive my Ford. Like it wasn't the topic of the conversation. Mm-hmm. Whereas now it is the topic of the conversation. Like if I eat my corn and the person that planted the first seeds like didn't like black people, I'd be like, I can't eat the corn.
My whole, yeah, I just don't want that. Gosh, that's a whole mess. You started by saying it's a nonsensical argument, but like he is a great he's a great investor. He buys great businesses. Those businesses aren't allowed to make money. I don't understand that argument at all.
No. And the same folks making that argument are probably saying they also hate communism and socialism. That's what's ironic about all of this. You make your bed, you sleep in it or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like you want to have your cake and eat it. How do you eat a cake you don't have? I still don't understand that whole conversation.
Oh my goodness. All right, so just give me a friendly assessment here. Am I absolutely insane that I don't think he's the unquestioned GOAT and that I think there's a flip side to him not being well-adjusted? I mean, this guy sacrificed his whole childhood so when he's 94, people could write articles about him being the GOAT of investing. Is that a good trade? I don't think that's a good trade.
You're making 2 different arguments, I think.
Probably opinion. 3 or 4. I'm just trying to rile you up.
Well, yeah, the 2 that I'm taking are this. One is, can someone be called the greatest if they aren't a well-adjusted individual? That's one. So let's have that conversation.
Okay, hold on. I just want to. This is Morgan Housel asked a great question. That is basically like, who are you idolizing that actually has a more miserable life than you. This is along the lines of what I'm trying. I'm saying maybe you can say this dude is one of the greatest investors of all time, but don't for a minute think that you want to trade positions with this dude.
Now that I can get behind. Because I can be like, Jordan's the best basketball player. I ain't done any of that. Like, I can say both those things.
Yes, that's my point. Yes.
Right? Look, we went last year to Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
Went to the event. Buffett was talking. We sat in the auditorium. We went to the warehouse of all the goods. I saw all the people. I loved the fact that I was sitting there, and I loved the fact that there are so many people that have been inspired by Buffett and have become wealthy because they believed in this person they could relate to.
Yeah.
Right? I love that. And I don't want to trade places with any of them people.
Not
those
like
two things.
Tim Cook, Bill Gates. Let's see. There's celebrities there.
I am good. There's so much that changed. And this is part of your point. But I think this is separate from the GOAT conversation. So for those that have not seen us on, YouTube or whatever, I'm an African-American individual. And growing up, didn't have a lot of, and I say not a lot of, I mean, I had zero male role models. Zero. I saw zero black men that I was like, oh, that's the thing I want to do. None. Mm-hmm. Then I saw Frank Raines. He was a Fortune 500 CEO. And I was like, oh, black people can do things that are good, right? Ken Chenault, he became CEO of American Express. I was like, oh, black people can do things. It was great. I went, oh, so like I can be in business. Like I can do this. And that was fantastic. Then as I rose up the ranks in corporations, I was like, oh, that's what it takes? Like, I'm okay. Like, I think I'm actually, like, I'm good, like, here. It's like it's not a question of ambition or, like, aspiration. It's just, like, and the point where it changed was when I had my son. I was like, I would rather be there for him because I didn't have a dad that was around. And I can change the trajectory of, like, my family lineage by just existing around my child. And, like, that's more important to me than ... right? Becoming a Fortune 500 CEO, whatever. That's more important. But some people don't have that. Buffett's like, this waitress looks hot. You know what I'm saying?
So I appreciate that context. That's where I think I started by saying he's insane. That's where when you're reading through The Snowball and his son Howie is a 2-year-old, incredibly difficult child, screaming in the background, and he goes upstairs and locks himself in a room to read the Moody's catalog. I'm going, no.
Okay. What was he really reading?
Come on now. He was absolutely reading the Moody's catalog. No doubt in my mind about it.
But by the way, as an aside, as we say, well, what was he really reading? Right, having a little. The clip I saw recently of he and Charlie Munger sitting there. So there's a whole clip, and they were discussing how you invest in businesses that are like sound, you don't take out leverage, all these kind of things. And Charlie goes, because there's no reason to sweat at night. And there's like laughter from the audience. And then Charlie says, well, there's some reasons, but not because of finances.
Well, and I'm not claiming Charlie was incredibly well adjusted either, but I think he's more well adjusted. He at least had like the yacht and occasionally went and had fun.
The man built a building with no windows. He's not well adjusted. Anyway.
And Charlie would be like, yes, I'll give you the $100 million, but here's my list of demands.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I have to be able to design the dorm at Stanford or at UCSB. It's hilarious. Yeah. Not well adjusted. Well, but he belonged to a country club. I mean, he had a few interests that weren't invested.
So that was all just your first argument that I took out was around well adjustment.
Yeah.
The second one is if anyone has ever done the activity better than this person, they can't be the best of all time. That's what I hear you saying.
No, but I'm saying if you have a 20-year track record with 60% returns or 30% returns or whatever, like you don't just get ruled out of the GOAT conversation because you got... So Benjamin Graham taught securities, taught investing at Columbia Business School, who wrote The Intelligent Investor, who is the reason that Buffett ever ended up in New York.
Yep, true.
Thought investing was so boring that he closed up shop. Like,
he also wasn't that good at investing.
Whatever. It's only like
He
17% a
wasn't.
year for 25 years or whatever. I don't have it in front of me.
No, Benjamin Graham bought Geico. He made no other good investments.
That's not true. I know exactly what you're referencing. Anyway, this wasn't really about Benjamin Graham, but my point is, and I know your answer to this. Your answer is, well, they're not Tom Brady. You know, like Andrew Luck's an easy example, though Andrew Luck never had great success. Andrew Luck played like 6 years in the NFL. When he was first drafted, was thought to be like an Elway level talent.
Yep.
And kind of got injured and kind of got bored. I'm not claiming Andrew Luck is the greatest of all time. Not at all. But in investing, if someone has better returns than Buffett for like a 2-decade period and simply decides they don't want to be the richest person on earth, I'm just saying don't hold it against them. It's not their fault.
But no one's holding it against anyone else. They're just saying that Buffett's the best.
I don't know.
But there's a difference between you're acting as if someone showed up to everyone else's house and punched them in the face. No one punched anybody in the face.
I feel punched in the face.
They just said Buffett's the best. And I would also say this. If you change the wordage, like if you said Warren Buffett has the most talent in turning capital into more capital, I'd go, no, he doesn't. He's the best investor. And those two things to me are different.
I almost like the first wording better.
No, because I think other people, because like Ed Thorpe, I put Ed Thorpe in that category. I put Jim Simons in that category. They are better at turning capital into more capital through math.
No, they are better at turning capital into more capital for relatively small pools of money. I'm talking like hundreds of millions of dollars.
Okay.
When Buffett, what makes Buffett truly great is that even when he crushed things for his first 50, 60 years of life and went, oh my goodness, I can't buy the dirt cheap stuff. I can't do 50% annual returns a year anymore because I have too much capital. Yeah. He still said, I'll find a way to plug along and beat the S&P 500. Like that is
does he still beat the S&P 500?
Yes, as of
he does. Okay.
3 months ago, he does. It's harder. It's much more of a neck and neck race, and it depends on when you look at things. But yes,
that's much harder to do. Yeah.
So in a way, that last 30 years is like a more impressive track record, even though the returns are significantly less because the returns he's making on hundreds of billions of dollars. There's like, as we've talked about before, there's like 10 investments that he's able to make that have a meaningful impact on his return. So I like the first wording. I could get on board with that.
Okay, but I can't get on board with that. That's where we're different. But to your general point is so you and I, we've looked at Buffett's life, Buffett's history, we've read about Buffett, all that kind of stuff. And I love investing. Like we have a podcast talking about it just because we enjoy it. Yep. Love investing. And when I read stories that are like Warren Buffett showed up at this random building to meet a CEO Saturday at 2 p.m. was knocking on the door, I'm like, no. Like I'm at my child soccer game. Like
same. Yeah, in the snowball, his daughter's like 12 months old. He's working at Grand Newman Corporation and he thinks he has a lead on some basically net company on the East Coast. So he wakes up at 4 a.m. on Saturday, hops on a train so he can knock on the CEO's door and like surprise him and convince him to pay a dividend on the stock. And I'm just going, this is not a well-adjusted individual, man. Go hang out with your daughter, like 100%.
Yeah, it would be if you take the name out of it and just tell the stories. People would be like lock this guy up. Honestly, this is legitimate. It's where you go back to Jordan. And Jordan would say, he goes, I don't have a gambling problem. I have a competition problem.
That's a fair way to say it.
Yeah. And I'm like, you have a competition problem and, sir, also a gambling problem. I'm just going to tell you. I'm going to tell you like it is.
There's a fun book by Wright Thompson about competition, and Jordan's obviously the first chapter. And it's he's like following him from a move from Chicago to North Carolina. And Jordan is trying to put gas in his car, which like he effectively never does. And so he's swiping all these credit cards and it's asking for his billing zip code. And he's like yelling because he does not know his billing zip code. Like that's how out of touch the dude is because all he cares is
crossover 3. My zip code is crossover 3.
All right. Well, we love listener mail. We have some we're not going to get to this week, but if you have hot takes on my Buffett take, Doogles Buffett take, anything else. It's just memories about attending Omaha or Buffett in general, send them to skippydoogles@gmail.com. I have one more mini rant for you, but maybe you want to start us off?
You talking about Cold Stone?
Talking about Cold Stone.
Cold Stone Creamery. People this week seem very upset about the quality of Cold Stone. Cold Stone is good ice cream. They got good ice cream. I'm not going to talk about the quality of Cold Stone.
I have no issues with the quality. Yeah, no issues.
One thing I did learn this week is Cold Stone's prices across the country are so varied. It's quite wild. What started this conversation was somebody on the Twitters posted from LA the prices in their local Cold Stone. And it was without, they said, all the mix-ins, which I think are toppings.
Yeah.
Without all the mix-ins, their Cold Stone, like baseline, no frills situation was $9.50.
That's like a one scoop situation, correct?
Yeah, one scoop, no frills, one scoop, $9.50.
No, $9.75. $9.75 I'm looking at.
Okay.
So do you have, because the thing I haven't been able to find is pricing across the country.
In this thread, if you follow that thread down, people are like, here's the picture from my local Cold Stone. And the variation was like half. Like people were listing $5. That same ice cream, $5 in their area. And so when Cold Stone is so varied in price.
Yeah. Well, I see some Pittsburgh prices that are. So what's interesting about Cold Stone is, I'm going to say I almost bought, but it didn't get that serious. At one point, I looked into buying a Cold Stone Creamery, right?
Wait, the whole thing?
Like individual,
like a
location.
franchise or whatever.
Yeah. Right. And I was visiting that Cold Stone. I like their ice cream cookies because I'm a normal human. I mean, Buffett probably doesn't like ice cream cookies, but the rest of us do.
Yeah.
And the rent per the location was just insane. But I like did all the math on how many people need to come in and blah, blah, blah. Right?
Yep.
This LA example, the person does what seems like a fairly reasonable order. By the way, a waffle cone costs about $5, which is absolutely insane. But a fairly reasonable order.
Just the cone?
Yeah, just the cone.
Okay.
Two mix-ins in a waffle cone with the smallest ice cream is $19.60.
That is wild.
So wild. They want to blame this on private equity. There is a private equity backing group that owns a lot of Cold Stone franchise locations. So it's possible that's the case. The variation across the country is really interesting because now I'm having a hard time figuring out like how much of this could be private equity driven, but anything else. But the thing that fires me up about this is the larger conversation of like, some people seem to want to run their business only based on spreadsheets and they're completely lost. The customer experience just does not seem to be a factor in the equation.
Yep.
And that's so short-sighted. There's no chance this Cold Stone is around in 2 years.
This is short-term versus long-term thinking. Absolutely. Like what you just said. I think it all comes down to that. The longer term in business, the longer term you think about your business, the more stakeholders you bring in.
Mm-hmm. And
when you bring in not even your customer, you're thinking so short-term.
There's also sell to 100 customers and make $1 each, or sell to 2 customers and make $10 each, or what? Like, who's paying $20 for a fairly basic order? I don't know. Well, thanks for listening to my grumpy old man segment of the show. We should have one of these every week. I cannot get over these prices.
Those prices are wild, and we were just talking about McDonald's and Burger King, right, and other prices that are coming out. It's quite insane. You know what we need to lower these prices? Tariffs.
You just had to go there. You just had to do it.
I had to.
Let me put a ball on it with this. If I own this Cold Stone, and the only way I think I can break even is to charge $20 for a basic waffle cone, I think I'm shutting down the business.
Yep.
I honestly think I'm just done.
I figured out the solution. If we just charge $1,000, like, No, you don't have a business at that point.
Yes, I run a paper mill, but I have to sell this roll of toilet paper at $20 per roll. Like, just
Per ply. You don't have a business at that point.
It's hilarious.
I love it. Is that a wrap?
That's a wrap. Thanks for hanging out, guys. Help support the show. Premium subscriptions available. SkippyDoogles.supercast.com. And Doogles mentioned it. Doogles, you did not say the thing that makes me laugh every show, which is like, subscribe, whatever. We love it. I don't love your likes.
We love it.
I love it at all. I like it. I like it.
I love it. You like it. That's fine. Thank you, everybody.